Here's a good question to ask yourself. Why should I confront someone? I mean, seriously, it's a good question because you know what? Just think of the word confront. What do you feel inside when I say the word? A lot of times it makes our blood pressure go up. You know, we kind of think, oh my gosh, I've got to go have a difficult conversation with somebody. A lot of times it can be scary. But I want to start with having you think about something that I believe is true, and I've seen it over and over and over. And actually, there's a lot to back this up. Your success in life depends on your ability to confront well. Your success in life, every area of life, business, relationships, parenting, friendship, extended family, is going to be limited by our ability to be able to confront well. See, confrontation is not a negative thing in and of itself. Now, it can be done very negatively, and it can have awful, awful consequences if done not well. But here's the problem. We live in a world that has germs. And now think about this. Every day when you go outside, you're confronting stuff, germs. Every day when you do that, you're confronting things, germs. The world has some stuff and it's going to hurt you. It's got infection. It's got bacteria. It's in the way. But you are equipped with a confrontation system built inside of you. It's called your immune system. And throughout the day, all the time, gazillions of times that you're not even aware of, you're confronting problems. It starts with a very simple confrontation. You do this, the saliva takes care of it, unless it's a bigger germ. And then it goes down, then the stomach acids begin to go, oh, that's a bigger problem. I got to bring more, horsepower to this. If it gets past that, then your immune system is going to send marker cells out and name it, and then they're going to contain it. See, confrontation starts small, but sometimes it has to get significant enough so you don't get infected. Well, life has germs, not just the bacteria type, but there's obstacles that happen. We run into problems, and everything we ever try to do, you're going to hit some obstacles. You got to confront obstacles. People happen. People show up with their inabilities, lack of performance, irresponsibility, toxic behavior, or just not getting on the same page. That's got to be dealt with. That's got to be confronted. Oftentimes people don't even know that they're being a germ, and they need to be made aware of it. And many times we need to be confronted to know that we're the germ in this situation. Here's the thing. There's something called autoimmune disease, and that's when your immune system starts eating you instead of the germs. That's what inability to confront well really is like. It eats the relationship. It eats the thing you're trying to achieve instead of eating the problem or limiting the problem. So the first thing I want you to do when you think about confrontation is to realize this is a positive thing. It's one of the best tools you have. Why? Because it preserves love. It resolves alienation. It empowers you to know that whatever exists doesn't have to be the way that it is forever, leaving you out of control of your life and your future. It can be a great tool to challenge you or yourself to the next level of performance or love or intimacy or resolution. And there's a lot of self-learning that happens. Even when we do the confrontation, we're going to learn more about the situation and the problem. This is a really good tool. So the first thing I'd like for you to do is just kind of sit down in your gut and sit there on a stump somewhere and ask yourself, how do I feel about confrontation? Because if it's a negative thing in your head, you're going to avoid it, or you're going to fight it, or you're going to do it with fight, fight or flight or freeze. One of those things is going to happen. And when we don't confront well, the problem either stays as it is, or it gets worse. If we don't confront an infected tooth, you end up with a root canal. So kind of step number one is realizing you need an immune system to live in a world where there are germs, like obstacles, people, bad performance, whatever it is, every day. I tell people, if you wake up this morning, you got some problems, you know what? You know what that means? It means you're alive, because we live in a world that's got problems, and getting to anything good in life is resolving problems, and that requires that we confront problems. Sometimes the problem lies within a person. So, great benefits to this. I want you to begin by getting a positive mindset just around confrontation. Now, if I got a positive mindset for something, because we should talk about, I talk about a lot in courses and all that, you know, if we're going to have a positive mindset about anything in life, that means we got to build some skills around it. But before we do that, I'd like for you to get in, you know, really, this, I love this. I try to remind myself of it all the time. The meaning of confrontation is not primarily or necessarily or only something adversarial. It doesn't mean that we're at war with somebody. It doesn't mean we're in a fight. It doesn't mean we're doing something in an adversarial nature. Literally, the word confront, if you study the etymology of it, part of it involves to turn your face towards something, confront, face something frontally. Don't be an ostrich. Aren't those the birds with their head in the sand? Pull our head out of the sand and lean into and frontally look at a problem, even if the problem is within a person, or even if it's within ourselves. To confront is a very positive thing. And, you know, I've already said there's so many benefits to it. But like anything with benefits, it's not easy. You know, there's some problems with confrontation. One of the big ones is that in this universe, since, you know, what we call the fall of mankind, we fell, and our two big drives in life got split inside of us. We have a drive to love, and we also have a drive to execute truth and what's right and have standards and all of that. But a lot of times those are split inside of us. And when we're loving, we're not holding people accountable. We become enabling because we're afraid, if we're going to be loving, I don't want to say that, I don't want to hurt their feelings, it's mean, or I don't get, you know, and we'll just be loving without setting limits. When we go to the other side of the split, sometimes you go, I can't stand it anymore, and you get mad. Then you hop into the other self and put the confrontation hat on, and love disappears. And that's where a lot of confrontations go bad, because they're angry. And one of my favorite verses says, the anger of men doesn't achieve the righteousness of God. Anger is not a parenting technique. Anger is not an intimacy technique. Anger is a feeling that lets you know it's time to confront something, but I shouldn't do it in anger. I should do it in love, telling the truth, but being firm and kind at the same time. That's one of our big obstacles. Another one is fears. You might get retaliation. Somebody might get angry. They might reject you, or they might get their feelings. You might get abandoned. All of those are valid in some relationships, and you need to plan accordingly. But these fears can keep you from doing what you need to do as well. So fear can be a big part of this. You know, another time we have fear and we avoid it, it's when we don't have the skills. If somebody told me, I did this one time and I had to build some skills. I'm not so skilled now, but if you told me to go jump out of an airplane today, I'd be afraid. I'd avoid it. I'd probably schedule something else. I'd avoid that confrontation. When I did do it, I had to go through training to learn the skills to jump out of a plane, not go psychotic, open the chute, land, all that stuff. A lot of times we're afraid of confrontation because we've never built the skills. You've never seen it done. I remember a group one time where two ladies, one of them hurt the other one, and the other one brought it up, and they started to work on it and talk it out. There was a third lady sitting over there. She's looking at them like that, and I said, what are you thinking about? She said, I've never seen that before. I said, what do you mean? So she said, what they're doing. She hurt her feelings. She brought it up. They're talking about, I've never seen that. She said, where I come from, you don't do that. You tell somebody you didn't like something they did. I mean, you know, skillets are going to be flying in the room, or chairs, or screaming. She said, I've never seen that. We can't do things that we've never seen. We got to learn how. We got to practice. So some of it may be some skills building. And that's a whole course we'd have to go into, but that may be one of the things you ask yourself, do I really have good confrontational skills? Do I need to develop those skills? Another big problem is past experiences. Like that lady, if you grew up in a place where confrontation is like, no, I'm not doing that. Or you've seen it done, or you've even been hurt by it. Some of the most non-confrontational people are people who have been hurt by harshness, by some kinds of abuse sometimes, some kinds of shaming, and they never want anybody to feel like that. So they don't confront. But it's kind of like they threw the baby out with the bathwater. We can learn to do this in a way that it doesn't hurt people like that. So a lot of these obstacles get in the way, and they've got to be evaluated. So here's what I want you to take from this. I'm not telling you to go confront somebody today, but I am telling you if something needs to be confronted, like life, it's a good thing to get ready for that confrontation. Now, why would I want to get ready for this? Because we said if we don't do it, things are going to stay the same or get worse, or you're never going to get where you want to get. So the first step in this is ask yourself, why? Why would I want to confront this? Well, it's a good question. How about this? You don't want to have this same problem, the same conversation, and same issue 6 months from now or a year from now. You look into your future, a little bit of a timeline. Do you really want to be dealing with the same thing and carrying this problem around for a long time? Or is it time to do something about it? To end pain and project into the future more pain if I don't do something, that is a great motivator. It kind of gets us out of the denial that we put things off in our own head for a long time. So ask yourself, I could not confront this, but I'll be dealing with it forever if I don't. And get in touch with that feeling. Play the movie forward. See if that's what you want. It may not be. Second step, get clear about what you do want. When you get into a confrontation, one of the things that's going to make it go well is when you can even start by knowing yourself what you want and making sure you know what you want, because that's going to make the conversation lead in a direction other than punitive remarks and shame and all sorts of other stuff, because you can stay on track about trying to drive forward, what's important to me and all those kinds of skills. The next one, when you're getting ready, look at your role in the conflict. I mean, it's rare for me when I've got a conflict with somebody that when I really look at it, there's not some piece of it that I've probably contributed to in some way, at least in, I could have done that better. I could have responded differently. I could have done something. One of my favorite verses is so empowering. Jesus said, get the log out of our own eye first. And then we can see clearly what to confront, to get the speck out of the other person's eye. But if we haven't cleaned up our own side of it first, then we're adding to the problem every time we try to, do something about it. So just ask yourself, what could I do better? What could I have done better? How am I contributing to this? And then examine what your barriers are. What are the fears that are holding you back? Is it lack of skills? Is it past experiences? Is it irrational fear? Is it lack of support? There's a lot of barriers I've talked about, but get in touch with those. And then sit down with somebody that's not the one you're going to confront and try to bleed off the pain and the emotion first, because when we take that into a confrontation, it tends to really get very subjective and non-objective. And if you can take care, because there's a lot of pain probably that you have about what you got to go confront somebody with, the best, if we've had that kind of sort of healed and dealt with first, we're going to do the confrontation better. It's another day, it's another course to go into the skills that are going to be needed and all this, but I just want you to think about it as well, maybe one of the most important things that you could be addressing. Why confront? Your life kind of depends on it in a lot of different ways.